Good afternoon, friends. I take this opportunity to welcome you all to this important press conference. I take this opportunity also to welcome Dr. Jitendra Singh, the Honorable Minister of State in PMO, as well as Department of Personnel and Training, Science and Technology, Earth Sciences, and many other departments. And we have with us Secretary DRPG, Shri Vinay Kumar, Secretary, Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Dr. Sanjeev Ranjan, Chairman, Railway Board, Shri Vinay Kumar Tripathi, Chairman CBIC, Shri Vivek Johri, and also Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Dr. S. Chandrasekhar. Today's press conference has been convened on the conclusion of a month-long Swachhata campaign, which was launched on 2nd of October, the Gandhi Jayanti this year, and concluded on 31st of October, that is the National Unity Day. And as you all know, we had two festivals in between, the Shahra and Diwali, which has been by and large, associated with Swachhata, cleanliness, and the government departments, ministries, and organizations were made part of this Swachhata drive. So, to share with you the outcome of the 3-week, month-long Swachhata campaign, we have with us all the dignitaries, including the Honorable Minister. And I'll begin with, we'll have, what you call talking points by Shri Vinay Kumar, Secretary DRPG, and there will be PowerPoint presentation by him on the outcome of the entire campaign, and that would be followed by interventions and remarks of other senior officers we have with us, because all these departments have performed exemplary during this period, and there will be a short film screening related to these departments. Thank you very much. I request Secretary DRPG to give his opening remarks and
Respected Dr. Jitendra Singh, my senior colleagues, Dr. Sanjeev Ranjan, Shri Rajaraman, Dr. Chandrasekhar, Chairman Railway Board, Shri Vivek Johri, Chairman CBIC, Shri Vivek Johri, all colleagues, noble officers who have worked with us for the last month and a half, senior representatives from the media. I'll present to you a brief overview of what Special Campaign 2.0 achieved from October 2nd to October 31st. The Honorable Minister had addressed a media conference in the mid-phase of the campaign, and the end campaign outcomes are as follows. The campaign was initiated with the objective of institutionalizing Swachhata and minimizing dependency in government, and in the last 1 month, it has been taken up at almost 100,000 campaign sites. 54.5 lakh records have been reviewed. 4.36 lakh public grievances have been redressed. 364 crores of revenue has been earned from scrap disposal, office scrap as also electronic scrap. And the space freed is 88 lakh square feet. Next, please. The campaign has been taken up, and these are the top performers. Department of Posts took it up in 24,000 sub-regional post offices. Department of Defense in 5,922 sites. Home Affairs in about 12,000 police stations. Railways in 9,374 railway stations. And we had about 16 ministries conducting the campaign in more than 1,000 sites. So it can be seen that it is a very large campaign conducted on a pan-India basis with 100% achievements by each of the departments that participated. This is the revenue earned from scrap disposal. The report was said that Department of Military Affairs and its cantonments had earned 212 crores from scrap disposal. Ministry of Coal, 48.5 crores. Railways, 33.05 crores. Shipping, 14.8 crores. And Defence Production, 13.06 crores. Next, please. In holistic terms, the Special Campaign 2.0 can be called India's largest office cleanliness campaign and was highly successful in realizing the Honorable Prime Minister's vision as laid down in the Council of Ministers. Special attention was given to remotest outstation offices, and it was about 15 times larger than Special Campaign 1.0. We had more than 300 best practices reported, and I will share some of them with you. Honorable Jitendra Singh led it from the front, inspecting our office, releasing the portal on September 14th, and then on October 2nd, sharing a mid-campaign review and a press conference, and again the fourth time he's been kind enough to give us time. Cabinet ministers, ministers of state provided leadership and guidance. Secretaries to Government of India reviewed the campaign on a weekly basis, and the progress was monitored on a campaign portal. 215 nodal officers participated in this campaign. 67,000 social media tweets and about 130 PIB statements were issued. Next, please. I will share some of the best practices. Next. So we have the plastic Rakshasa, which is constructed at Bangalore railway station. Chairman Railway Board will be telling us more about it. 100% mechanized cleaning of railway stations was introduced. Next, please. Some of the coaches were converted into restaurants, and this is one such practice that was seen at Guntur. Next, please. We had the Ministry of Steel creating a kachara to garden. It is called Garbage to Green in Bokaro Steel Plant. Then we had Parthenium-free farms that were taken up by Department of Agriculture Research and vermicompost measures. Next, please. Department of Post. Next, please. Department of Post brought in numerous innovations. The parcel cafeteria at the Kolkata Post Office, paintings on walls. You can see one in Bikaner, one in southern India, in Andhra, where it was taken up. The campaign was propagated. Next, please. Department of Telecom converted its basement in Telecom Bhavan into a wellness center with table tennis tables, also yoga mats. Next, please. Department of Atomic Energy brought in the use of robotics for cleaning sewer lines at the Baba Atomic Research Center. Next, please. Ministry of Culture created the Dorla Tribal Hut. They also created another in Andaman Nicobar with Jorawa tribe, and the Anthropological Survey of India participated in this with great vigor. Next, please. We also had next, please. Yes. Ministry of Shipping converted a paddle ship into a restaurant and displayed it in this campaign. Next, please. We had this magnificent Aranya campaign that was Aranya Wall that was created by CBIC. Chairman CBIC would be briefing us more on how it went about. Next, please. Very far-flung locations were taken up. Ministry of Women and Child Development taken up in all LIPSIT centers across India. Next, please. Ministry of Home Affairs focused on CISF security protocols. Faster approach for check-ins became possible with a 5-minute timeline. Next, please. We also had vertical gardens created out of plastic bottles in CBDT. Next, please. This is the media outreach that we had as part of the campaign. More than 67,000 tweets were issued, 136 PIB statements, and it had more than 3.5 billion impressions were generated. We have the Honorable Prime Minister's tweet on the plastic Rakshasa that was issued on October 2nd. Next, please. And we had tweets from all the senior ministers. Raksha Mantri ji participated, Minister of Road Transport and Highways, Culture Minister. Next, please. Next, please. Yes. We had Dr. Jitendra Singh ji addressing the press conference, Shri Joshi ji participating in it, the Agriculture Minister participating, Minister of Women and Child participating. Next, please. Minister of Civil Aviation, Minister of State for Finance, Minister of State for Steel. Next, please. The campaign was also conducted in Indian missions abroad, and all the 184 Indian missions abroad participated. Next, please. The campaign was conducted in the farthest locations from Dras to Andaman Nicobar to Lakshadweep to Kanyakumari, and everywhere we found the response was overwhelming. Next, please. The campaign was covered extensively in media, and we are thankful to all media colleagues for this. A number of media statements have also been issued, not only in the national media. Next, please. Next, please. Not only in the national media. Next, please. But also in all regional media. Next, please. But also in the next, please. Next, please. But also in all regional media, including Malayalam, Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, and also in Hindi newspapers. So once again, I'd like to thank Dr. Jitendra Singh ji for his leadership, and thank all colleagues for their support in making this campaign a success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for making this detailed presentation on this month-long Swachhata drive, which was undertaken across the country, as you rightly mentioned, from Dras to Kanyakumari and other parts of the country. This will be followed by a short film on this. May I request to run the film, please?
आप सब जानते हैं कि पहले सरकारी दफ्तरों में पुरानी फाइलों और कागजों का कितना ढेर रहता। जब से सरकार ने पुराने तौर तरीकों को बदलना शुरू किया है, ये फाइल्स और कागज के ढेर डिजिटाइज होकर कंप्यूटर के फोल्डर में समाते जा रहे हैं। जितना पुराना और पेंडिंग मटेरियल है, उसे हटाने के लिए मंत्रालयों और विभागों में विशेष अभियान भी चलाए जा रहे हैं।
स्वच्छता अब विचारों से आगे निकलकर कर्तव्यों में तो शामिल हो ही गई है, साथ ही ये अब आदत भी बन गई है। इस बदलाव का पूरा श्रेय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के मार्गदर्शन को जाता है, जिसकी वजह से हर जगह आज स्वच्छता का वातावरण दिखाई देता है। सरकार के स्तर पर भी स्वच्छता के जो अभियान चलाए गए हैं, उसके अभूतपूर्व नतीजे देखने को मिल रहे हैं। प्रशासनिक सुधार और लोक शिकायत विभाग की अगुवाई में इसे लगातार गति मिल रही है। स्वच्छता अभियान 1.0 की सफलता के बाद केंद्रीय मंत्री डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह ने स्वच्छता अभियान 2.0 की शुरुआत इस साल गांधी जयंती के अवसर पर की। विशेष अभियान 2.0 की प्रगति की निगरानी एक समर्पित पोर्टल पर दैनिक आधार पर की जा रही है। स्वच्छता अभियान 2.0 के तहत दफ्तरों के लंबित मामलों को निपटाने में तेजी देखने को मिली है। इसके तहत लगभग 88,000 स्थलों का चयन किया गया है, जिसमें पहले 2 हफ्ते के दौरान करीब 38,000 स्थलों पर स्वच्छता अभियान चलाया गया। इसी तरह लोक शिकायतों के 2.95 लाख के लक्ष्य के मुकाबले अब तक करीब 2.19 लाख का निपटारा कर दिया गया है। इसमें 12 लाख से ऊपर फाइलों की समीक्षा का लक्ष्य रखा गया है, जबकि पहले 2 हफ्ते में ही 7 लाख से ज्यादा फाइलों की समीक्षा का काम पूरा कर लिया गया है। दूसरे चरण में अब तक कबाड़ के निस्तारण से 233 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक का राजस्व प्राप्त हुआ है। वहीं 5.22 लाख स्क्वायर फुट जगह को खाली कराया जा चुका है। इसके साथ ही 2,651 फाइलें राष्ट्रीय संग्रहालय में सुरक्षित कराई गई हैं। स्वच्छता अभियान 2.0 के जरिए सरकार द्वारा की गई पहल का नतीजा हम हर उस जगह पर देख सकते हैं जहां आम जनता का रोज का सरोकार है, फिर चाहे वो रेलवे स्टेशन हो या डाकघर या फिर कोई अन्य सरकारी दफ्तर। हर जगह अब स्वच्छ वातावरण दिखाई देता है। सरकार द्वारा अपनाए गए बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस का नतीजा है कि कई विभागों ने स्क्रैप के बेहतर प्रबंधन के जरिए ऐसे स्थल तैयार किए हैं जिन्हें व्यापक रूप से सराहा जा रहा है। इसी तरह का एक अन्य उदाहरण बेंगलुरु के एक रेलवे स्टेशन पर दिखाई देता है, जहां पर प्लास्टिक उपयोग न करने की हिदायत देते एक प्रतीक को तैयार किया गया है। ये यात्रियों को तो आकर्षित करता ही है, साथ ही बड़ी संख्या में लोग यहाँ सेल्फी लेने के लिए भी रुकते हैं और स्टेशन को साफ रखने का संकल्प लेते हैं।
4.5 टन वेस्ट जनरेट होता है, जिसमें से करीब 2.5 टन सॉलिड वेस्ट है, ड्राई वेस्ट है, और रेस्ट इज वेट वेस्ट। तो हम लोगों ने यहाँ पे सिस्टम इस तरह कर रखा है कि जो वेस्ट जनरेशन है उसका सेग्रीगेशन करते हैं। तो डेली बेसिस पे वी सेग्रीगेट ड्राई एंड वेट वेस्ट।
केंद्र सरकार के कई अन्य मंत्रालयों ने भी बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस को अपनाते हुए सार्वजनिक स्थलों पर जनता के लिए बेहतर सुविधाएं उपलब्ध कराई हैं। स्वच्छता को संकल्प से सिद्धि में बदलने के लिए सरकार की महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका है। इसमें केंद्रीय मंत्रियों और भारत सरकार के सभी सचिवों की भागीदारी है। भारत स्वच्छ बने, सुंदर बने, इसके लिए आइए हम सब मिलकर स्वच्छता अभियान के इस यज्ञ में अपने अपने हिस्से का योगदान दें।
Friends, you saw this short video, and you would also be able to see that how the entire team in various departments have been led by the honorable ministers concerned, and the officers at the senior most level had been overseeing and monitoring this campaign, and that has resulted in this amount of success. Some of the figures had been updated in the presentation, like the overall revenue earned is much more than what we could put in film. This was made a little early, so that updated figure would be shared by the honorable minister with you. It's always better to know about the noteworthy achievements and performances by those who have really done it. So in this series, may I request now Secretary Port, Shipping and Waterways, Dr. Sanjeev Ranjan ji, to give his remarks, and film would also be shared by him.
Manya Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, my colleagues on the dais, my friends from the press, in the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways, we had undertaken this campaign across all our organizations with the guidance of the Honorable Minister, Shri Saravanan Sonowal ji. As a result of the active guidance we got from the Honorable Ministers and the Department of Administrative Reforms, we were able to weed out more than 70,000 odd files, which resulted in clearance of 24,000 square feet of space. And the garbage that was collected got us a revenue of about 14 crores, more than 14 crores. Now, this was unique for our ports in the sense that this was adding to their business in terms of getting more space created for movement of vessels, for keeping of cargo. So it was essentially a campaign which helped them in their business. Each of our ports adopted a whole lot of best practices. For example, at Mangalore Port, they put up a vermiculture plant. Otherwise, the waste which used to be generated in the port premises had to be taken to the municipal waste ground, which was a daily expenditure for the port. By having this plant commissioned, they are now generating revenue. And this is a big change which has happened, and the compost is now used for gardening in the port itself. Similarly, the big thing which earlier was shown by Mr. Srinivas was this derelict vessel which was there in the Calcutta port dock system. It was to be scrapped, and the scrap value would have been just a few lakhs. That is the usual course these old vessels go into. There, the Calcutta port authorities took a remarkable decision of converting it, of restoring this as a heritage museum cruise vessel, where there's a museum which is now in place. and there is a restaurant which is on the upper deck. Now, this is a piece which was created by converting a waste into wealth. And this is a landmark vessel which is now, which was tested during the campaign period, and I'm sure is going to be adding to the skyline of the Calcutta Port Trust. The other ports also did a good job. The Tuticorin port, Chidambaram port in Tuticorin, there's an arid area, and there, as part of the campaign, the area which they cleared of garbage and other things, parallelly they went in for massive plantation. And in one go, they planted about 10,000 odd saplings. And with the winter monsoon coming to Tamil Nadu in this part of the year, hopefully these saplings would all help convert the port into greener areas. The area which was recovered because of the campaign, as I mentioned, 16 odd acres, now has the plantation there, and hopefully the port will turn green the days to come. Parallelly, converting the port areas with the LED lighting system would help conserve energy. So the campaign helped the ports to further their business cause. Derelict vessels, which otherwise were lying abandoned, during the campaign period were all bought inventorized and efforts made to dispose them off. In Paradip port, you have a perpetual problem of drinking water. Therefore, they went in for 100% sewage recycling. They have been able to commission 3 of these sewage recycling plants, totaling 6.5 MLD capacity. And the entire port's drinking water requirements now comes from the sewage recycling plant. Being on the shore, the drinking water is a problem in some of these locations, and therefore this initiative is again converting the waste into wealth. So this has triggered a new kind of a thinking, a new kind of a vision, and
Paradip Port under Ministry of Port.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ranjan. We also have a short film on the performance in the shipping sector. May you please run the film now?
Paradip Port under Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways supports in view of the water scarcity and as a best environmental practice has built 3 sewage treatment plants for the treatment of entire township water and utilize the treated water for dust separation and gardening. Thus, Port has ensured zero discharge of wastewater to natural water streams or creeks. Water is life and clean water means good health.
There is some issue with this. So I once again thank Dr. Ranjan for his excellent presentation, how things have happened, in the shipping department. We saw how things have been done differently by various ports across the country, how they have done things differently, innovatively, and how, what would have gone into scrap waste has been converted into sort of asset for times to come. Now, I'll request Shri Vinay Kumar Tripathi, Chairman, Railway Board, to share his, experience of his department.
Manni Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, all my colleagues on the dais, all the nodal officers of all ministries, departments of Government of India, and media के distinguished personals. हमने प्रधानमंत्री जी के गाइडेंस में, आदरणीय जितेंद्र सिंह जी के गाइडेंस में और अपने मिनिस्टर ऑफ रेलवेज़ के गाइडेंस में 2 अक्टूबर से 31 अक्टूबर तक ये स्वच्छता स्पेशल कैंपेन 2.0 को पूरे मन से किया, काफ़ी एफ़र्ट्स किए। उस एफ़र्ट्स का नतीजा था पब्लिक ग्रीवांसेस, करीब हमने 2,83,441 पब्लिक ग्रीवांसेस इस पीरियड में डील की। उनकी अपील्स, पब्लिक ग्रीवांसेस अपील्स जो थी वो 2,566 की, क्लीनलीनेस कैंपेन में हमने 7,337 जो भारतीय रेल के स्टेशन हैं वो सभी स्टेशंस को साफ स्वच्छता किया, मैकेनाइज क्लीनिंग पे ध्यान दिया। साथ में हमने करीब 2,500 और अपने जो हमारे इंस्टॉलेशंस हैं, ऑफिसेज हैं, अलग अलग स्टेशंस पर थोड़े थोड़े जो छोटे छोटे इंस्टॉलेशंस हैं उन सब की भी क्लीनलीनेस पे ध्यान दिया और कुल मिला के करीब 9,400 जगहों को विशेष अभियान के तहत क्लीन किया। स्टेट गवर्नमेंट रेफरेंसेस करीब 175 डील किए। रूल्स का सिंप्लीफिकेशन भी हमने अपने टारगेट में रखा था, तो 55 रूल्स का सिंप्लीफिकेशन इस पीरियड के दौरान किया। एमपीज़ के रेफरेंसेस हमारे बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं, तो वो 3,550 रेफरेंसेस को हमने इसमें डील किया, क्लियर किया। और रिकॉर्ड्स के जो मैनेजमेंट थी, जो फाइल्स हमने डील करी, जो फाइल्स कम करी या फाइल्स को रिव्यू किया, वो करीब 1,94,321 फाइल्स थी। स्पेस करीब 20,349 स्क्वायर फीट क्लियर किया और स्क्रैप से हमने 33 करोड़ से भी ज़्यादा पैसे अर्न किए। जो कुछ बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस हैं वो मैं आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहूँगा। जो आपने अभी देखा भी, हमने प्लास्टिक बॉटल से KSR बेंगलुरु स्टेशन पर एक स्कल्पचर बनाया जिसमें ये शो किया कि इसका हमको इस्तेमाल नहीं करना चाहिए, जो कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के द्वारा भी ट्वीट किया गया। नेक्स्ट, ये उस ट्वीट का पिक्चर है, इसका डिटेल्ड। नेक्स्ट, ये एक्चुअल स्कल्पचर बनाया गया था और इससे स्टेशन पर काफ़ी जागरूकता आई है और हमको इसको बनाने के बाद स्टेशन पर प्लास्टिक बॉटल्स और इनको जो लोग फेंक दिया करते थे वो बहुत कम हो गया है। नेक्स्ट, इसी तरह से हमारे जो कोचेस थे, कुछ कोचेस जो कि कंडेम हो चुके थे, उन कोचेस को हमने रिफर्बिश करके एस्थेटिक इंटीरियर्स लगा करके हमने AC रेस्टोरेंट में चेंज किया और एज ए पॉलिसी भी हमने डिसाइड किया है कि डिफरेंट स्टेशंस पे ऐसा करेंगे। गुंटूर पर हमने बनाया है और ये रेस्टोरेंट काफ़ी ज़्यादा पब्लिक के द्वारा इसको बहुत ज़्यादा लाइक किया जा रहा है और यूज़ किया जा रहा है। इसके साथ साथ हमने IT एप्लीकेशंस के थ्रू जो हमारे VIP रेफरेंसेस आते थे, पार्लियामेंट्री रेफरेंसेस आते थे, उन सब के लिए एक रियल टाइम मॉनिटरिंग के लिए नया पोर्टल लॉन्च किया जहां पर सब कुछ रियल टाइम दिखता है। हमने क्या जवाब दिया, किसको जवाब दिया, क्या क्या दिया, वो सारी चीज़ें डिटेल रहती हैं। वो ये इसी दौरान हमने इस पोर्टल को लॉन्च किया और भारतीय रेल ने कंप्लीट पेपरलेस वर्किंग 1 नवंबर 2022 से शुरू कर दिया है। सारे फाइलें डिजिटाइज्ड हो गई हैं, सारे बिजनेस प्रोसेसेस सब कुछ ऑफिस के थ्रू अब डील होते हैं। हमारा जो ऑनलाइन रिड्रेसल पैसेंजर ग्रीवांसेस का सिस्टम है, रेल मदद है। रेल मदद ऐसा सिस्टम है जो सिर्फ एक नंबर पर पैसेंजर को या किसी भी रेल यूज़र को डायल करना है और किसी भी प्रकार की शिकायत वो उस पर करता है और वो सारी शिकायतों का उसको रियल टाइम में हम जवाब देते हैं या रियल टाइम में उसको अटेंड करते हैं। इस पीरियड के दौरान हमने रेल मदद के थ्रू करीब 2,80,000 कंप्लेंट्स का रिड्रेसल किया। नेक्स्ट, ये कुछ ग्लिम्सेस हैं हमारे कैंपेन के। ये ऑफिसेस हैं, स्टेशंस हैं, जो कुछ डेस्क हमने फाइल्स क्लीन करी हैं उनकी पिक्चर्स हैं। नेक्स्ट, जो हमारा सोशल मीडिया कैंपेन में डिटेल रहा, ये उसके कुछ डिटेल्स हैं। नेक्स्ट, एक वीडियो प्रेजेंटेशन भी है जो मैं आप लोगों को दिखाना चाहूँगा। प्लीज़ प्ले द वीडियो।
उपलब्धियों से भरा रहा भारतीय रेल का स्पेशल कैंपेन 2.0। स्पेशल कैंपेन 2.0 को 2 अक्टूबर से 31 अक्टूबर 2022 तक चलाया गया। रेलवे के सभी कार्य क्षेत्रों में स्वच्छता और सुशासन को दिया गया बढ़ावा। रेल मंत्रालय द्वारा स्टेशनों पर चलाया गया स्पेशल कैंपेन 2.0। स्टेशनों व ट्रेनों की मशीनों से की गई विशेष सफाई, प्रमुख स्टेशनों तक पहुंचने के मार्ग की सफाई की गई। KSR बेंगलुरु स्टेशन पर बेकार पड़ी प्लास्टिक बोतलों से बनाई गई प्लास्टिक रक्षा मूर्ति। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने की प्लास्टिक रक्षा मूर्ति बनाने के प्रयास की सराहना। आंध्र प्रदेश के गुंटूर रेलवे स्टेशन पर पुरानी कोच को रिसाइकल कर शुरू किया गया रेल कोच रेस्तरां। स्पेशल कैंपेन 2.0 के अंतर्गत आयोजित किए गए नुक्कड़ नाटक समेत कई जागरूकता कार्यक्रम। स्पेशल कैंपेन 2.0 के दौरान 33 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक मूल्य के कार्यालय स्क्रैप का किया गया निस्तारण। स्पेशल कैंपेन 2.0 के अंतर्गत 2.6 लाख से अधिक जन शिकायतों का किया गया निपटारा।
धन्यवाद विनय जी for sharing such a detailed presentation about railways work. Now I would request Secretary Department of Telecommunications, Shri K. Rajaraman, to share his experience, please.
Honorable Minister for State for Pensions, Personal and Public Grievances, colleagues on the dais and friends from the media. Based on the directions of the Honorable Prime Minister and DARPG, joint video conference was held on 16/9/22 by the Honorable Minister for Railways, Communications and Electronics and Communication with all the staff across the country to kickstart the Swachhata Abhiyan for phase 2. So this set the tone for a special campaign to be implemented enthusiastically by all the officers of Department of Telecommunications and the other ministries attached to the Honorable Minister. So the communication lines were very clear. I think every officer from every office participated in this massive VC. Thereafter, I think the work started. The purpose of this campaign was not only to ensure a clean office space, which actually inspires productivity, but also to ensure that employee morale and commitment and participation also improves. So we also organized a blood donation camp on the special campaign to also give it a social angle. About 90 employees donated blood from the Sanchar Bhavan. Against an initial target of about 18,000 files for review, almost 1 lakh files were reviewed and 12,000 were weeded out. In the special campaign 1.0, about only 22,000 files were reviewed. Cleanliness campaigns were organized in about 500 sites of the DOTS field unit and the public sector undertakings. The senior officers of the ministry went around the various offices of the country to support and motivate the officers. Around 20 tons of metal, scrap, wood and many other, and paper was segregated, and auction is under process. Some of the best practices which I would like to bring to notice is that in a dump area in the Sanchar Bhavan campus has been converted into a modern canteen, and this was inaugurated on the 2nd of November. The basement storage dump yard was converted into a recreation club and a wellness center. Lady doctor has been hired on a contractual basis for urgent medical attention for about 1,000 employees in Sanchar Bhavan. Single-use plastic drinking water bottles in offices have been completely stopped. and nearly about 1,000 bottles, at least in Sanjar Bhavan, have been done away with. Replacing all the plastic folders and other plastic-related equipment purchases have been completely done away with and replaced with recycled paper. And 2 hours every Friday afternoon has been earmarked for cleaning of office premises. Some of the best practices that we have taken up as a pilot is to replace plastic pens as well with environmentally friendly paper, recycled paper pens, and installation of a sanitary pad dispenser in ladies' washrooms. We have also commencing a work on reducing the wastages. Eliminating wastages is one form of reducing the clutter in offices. So we have commenced with reducing wastage of power by installation of motion sensor occupancy sensors in rooms. Soon we will be also launching the work for eliminating wastage on water and paper, etc. In the same period also, we also launched spectrum-related reforms and satellite communication-related reforms, which were launched by the Honorable Minister for Communication during this period. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Rajaraman. Now I request Shri Vivek Johri, Chairman, Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, to share his experience.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Honorable Minister for Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, my distinguished colleagues on the dais, friends from the media. In CBIC, this year's special campaign on disposal of pending matters, phase 2, we focused mainly on 2 aspects. One was the enhancement of office spaces, and the other was, greater attention to fulfillment of our social responsibility and to society in general. So, for freeing up and reclaiming office spaces, there were 3 major things that we focused on. One was the review of physical files and paper, and I'm happy to inform this House that CBIC has switched over completely to e-office, working both in the ministry and in its field formations since last year. Yet we reviewed about 1.27 lakh physical files, and we were able to weed out 50,000 files this year. We also focused on removal of scrap, which normally accumulates in government offices. This could be construction material, it could be old furniture. And in Delhi GST, for example, we were able to get rid of 1 ton of scrap in this manner. And the third area of focus within freeing up office space was on electronic waste, which also very naturally collects in offices, and we are slow to dispose it of. So the Director General of GST Intelligence launched a special campaign at all its offices throughout the country to collect e-waste and hand it over to an authorized vendor. We did it simultaneously at all offices across the country, and we were able to get rid of 688 kgs of e-waste in this manner. The space that we freed up was it's obviously going to be utilized not only by officers and the staff, but we also made very conscious efforts to beautify the space that we freed up. And one very good practice that I would like to share with all of you, and we saw a brief snippet of that in the film, was about the setting up of a gallery named Aranya in the New Delhi Custom House, close to the airport. So the entire corridor on the 2nd floor has been converted into a beautiful gallery comprising pictures of wildlife, mainly our fauna. And the philosophy behind this, I must explain. Customs has a very close relationship and a very deep responsibility of protecting our environment. We are the sentinels of the border, and we play a very big role in preventing smuggling of illicit trafficking of flora and fauna. So we have a lot of talent within the house. We contacted some professional photographers who very graciously consented to share some of their works with us. And the gallery displays flora and fauna from all parts of the country, starting with Ladakh in the north, all the way down to the forests of Kerala, and likewise from west to east. So this was one of the best practices I wanted to share. Likewise, in the CGST Bhopal zone, a terrace which had been lying unutilized was being converted into a beautiful garden and a deck which can now be used for conducting our official programs and functions. As far as the other aspect of our focus, which was on fulfilling our social responsibility, goes, we conducted as many as 2,400 campaigns throughout the country, and which is more than thrice the number we did last year. Two or three important things that I want to mention. Our officers cleaned up two very popular beaches, one at Ratnagiri and the other one at Krishnapatnam in Vijayawada. We also focused on our green initiative and implemented Project Solar Energy in 4 schools of Haryana with the installation of 5 EVA off-grid solar plants. And likewise, we created vermicomposting pits at 4 schools in Haryana. So these are just examples of some of the best practices we followed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Johri. These are only few departments who could share their, experience. All the departments across the Government of India have noteworthy and remarkable performance during this entire period. It may not have been possible for all of us to, sit here and listen to all of us. So we thought that we can only request few departments who can share their, experience. I must also take this opportunity to thank you. Honorable Minister had addressed the media on completion of 3 weeks of this campaign, and you all had taken it very widely. So once again, thank you very much for that. Now I request the Honorable Minister to address you on the major highlights of this month-long campaign. Sir.
Thank you. I think much has already been said. The highlight for the media friends is that they have earned rupees 364.53 crore. And the unspoken fact is that within a week they have gone up by 100 crore. So when we met last week, at the end of the 3 weeks, it was around 250 or so. So that is the amount of revenue they can generate if they actually work at the same pace throughout the year. So it can actually emerge as a parallel source of economy for the nation. The other part is that nearly 88 lakh square feet of space cleared, which you can imagine would be substantial. And nearly 10,000 locations were involved in this campaign, which is, I think, a record in itself. Sorry, 1 lakh. Yeah. Nearly 1 lakh locations. Of course, the figure is 99,000 something, which is almost 10 lakh. And as many as 300 best practices. I was only, when I was going through the presentations, I think next time what we can do is, because this is, we are learning after each campaign, we could have before and after pictures also. So that like once, now the gallery has been created, what it appeared to be before that space, before this came up. And the restaurant, what it was, what the space looked like before this came up. So that is one thing. So as I said, even last time, each time it's also a learning experience for all of us. And virtually now we are at the 3rd level. The first level, of course, in 2014 was dedicated more to the cleaning of our spaces and building up of toilets, etc. The 2nd level, when we graduated into in 2021, it also involved the clearing of files, clearing of pending correspondence, etc. And now this time we've gone beyond that. How to also evolve some best practices out of that, and how best to use that space, and also how to deal with the online clearance, because earlier on we were only dealing with the physical files. But the online working in the government departments has also come of age, so we have got into that too. And that is one reason why somebody was telling me that the Swachhata campaign this time, possibly, the media friends would be able to suggest us better, has not created the kind of buzz that it created last year. I think that's because much of the media friends as much as we are getting used to what we are doing. So last year it created buzz because nobody believed that we could make money out of this. So after the first few, at the end of 1 week, when I was told that they had made 12 lakh crore, so I also was not very, sure about it. Then I sat down with Mr. Srinivas, we actually realized, and then we got greedy. So every week we were saying, at the end of it, we ended up with 62 crore. And media also found it something fanciful, like a man biting a dog. So now that's become a habit, so you don't find it very buzzful. I'm also saying so because we would request you to give it the same kind of wider coverage as was last time. Because as I said, last time it was all news, so maybe this time we are getting more and more conditioned to it. So this is, as I said, also an alternative source of revenue which has been discovered in the course of this experiment. This is also a very fine example of what the Honorable Prime Minister keeps reiterating, the whole of government approach. And may I also add over here that this year this whole of government approach has gone overseas. Even the foreign missions are involved, which was not so to that extent last year. And also beyond that to the whole of nation, because you find even the civil society members taking interest in trying to find out, particularly after the electronic scrap started generating all this revenue, which in their terms is an alternative source of income as well. So we came across a couple of women groups who said they had plenty of these gadgets like mobile phones, etc., lying abundant in the household. And now from our experience, they have learned that this could also, be an additional supplementation to their income. And so 300 best practices. And this time, Mr. Srinivas has also very consciously and diligently tried to give the breakup. So in order to create a kind of a healthy competitive spirit among the various departments and ministries, just as we do for the aspirational districts. It's not necessarily to compliment somebody or not to do so. It's just to make us realize, because there are certain departments and ministries which are inherently, endowed with much more resources to generate much more revenue. Like we have the defense, we have the post. So now, Department of Mr. Srinivas, Science Technology, Srinivasan will not be able to have that kind of scrap cleared as they would have. So that's some inherent differences also. But at the same time, learning from each other's experience, we can also try to discover where actually we could do more. So as far as the cleanliness is concerned, is the Department of Post, Department of Defense, Home Affairs and Railways, in that order, the first four. And as far as generating revenue is concerned, it is the Department of Military Affairs, then Coal, then Railways, and then of course shipping. So now they have a large empire, so they have contributed to substantially to the state exchequer. So what I'm saying is that next time we'll also come out with a comparative visuals, and these innovative practices, I think we will seek the help of INB. We'll try to propagate them among general masses as well. The manner in which they have created a restaurant in a place where otherwise would remain, unutilized. This could send out a message across the country. And as far as the files are concerned, he's already spoken about it. The number of public grievances. So we have come to the end of it, but the process of cleanliness carries on. As I said last time also, this is simply a reiteration, periodic reiteration from time to time of the resolve of the government. Does not mean that we shave our beard only during the Swachhata month and not elsewhere or not otherwise. So it's just that reiteration which would reaffirm our determination to carry on with this. And it's also kind of a behavioral change, and I see the behavioral change happening actually. Why, if somebody pointed out to me the buzz is not so much as it was last year, I think it's because it's become part of our behavior. Last year it was not part of our behavior. So something unusual is happening. When you said I've earned so much amount of money, so the newspapers would wake up, the media would wake up, others would start inquiring how come. Now it's become part of their behavior. I've found many of the colleagues in their office chambers also asking the old magazines getting cleared. Otherwise, in many of the office chambers, I would not point out because I don't stand on protocol. I simply walk into the officer's office. I would find magazines, India Today, last year's. So that way, they would just lie down there because the purpose is to read, then not to take care of the disposal. So now we also become conscious of the disposal. So that has itself become a behavior, and I'm sure this is one of the rare examples, as I said, of the Honorable Prime Minister initiating a campaign and the masses lapping it up, which was not so in the earlier years, the earlier governments. The governments would force a campaign, the masses would be hesitant or maybe not so enthusiastic to adopt it. So this is one of the new examples, recent examples, where a campaign is launched by the government and the masses adapt it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your remarks and address. Now the floor is open for the question. Yes, please, 125.
Yes. The second question is inspired by the fact that the amount generated is quite substantial. So let's see, as the amount goes on increasing, how best to deal with it. I don't think there's any reason to disagree with what you say. But till now, they have just been depositing the state exchequer. If the government plans to have a separate, utilization or allocation of this amount, that would be considered at the right quarters. This is just the beginning. We saw new experience for us as well. And the first part of it, as you said, it's not the planning, it is just that we have tried to actually adopt this practice of having a Swachhata month every year in the month of October. So maybe they planned for it by holding meetings among themselves for a week or so, which is not necessarily imply what you say, because just like observing Gandhi Jayanti. So when you know Gandhi Jayanti is coming, you plan out a week or two in advance what would be the events happening. Not that you stop worshipping Gandhi in the rest of the year. So it's not that actually, as I said, it's becoming a part of the behavior and we can see it happening.
May I request you to just quickly introduce yourself before you raise the question? Yeah, 60.
देखिए, जो बायो टॉयलेट है, बायो टॉयलेट इस्टेब्लिश हो चुके हैं। बायो टॉयलेट में अब कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं रही है। जो आप प्रॉब्लम जिस तरह की बता रहे हैं वो सच है कि ऐसा हुआ था, पर वो वैक्यूम टॉयलेट के तरफ जाने के लिए उसको बायो टॉयलेट को और एक स्टेप ऊपर ले जाने की ज़रूरत है। जो वैक्यूम टॉयलेट्स जो हम एरोप्लेन्स में यूज़ करते हैं वो उस तरफ जाने के कदम है। तो उसमें कुछ स्पेसिफिक प्रॉब्लम थी उस टॉयलेट में, तो उस प्रॉब्लम को सॉर्ट आउट कर दिया गया है, वो पता लग गया है और हम उसमें कंटिन्यूस लगे हुए हैं कि उसको और अच्छा करें। जो हमारी वंदे भारत ट्रेन्स अभी इंट्रोड्यूस हो रही हैं लगातार, उन सारी वंदे भारत ट्रेन्स में वैक्यूम टॉयलेट्स ही वैक्यूम टॉयलेट्स ही लगाए जा रहे हैं और उन सबको आम जनता के द्वारा और जो पैसेंजर्स हैं बहुत अप्रिशिएट किया जा रहा है। वो काफ़ी अब हमने उसको अब वो पूरी तरह से ठीक हो गए।
उसमें एक बात ये भी जोड़ दीजिए कि ये रेलवे की तरफ से ऐसा नहीं था, ये नया कॉन्सेप्ट था। तो जहाँ जहाँ भी बायो टॉयलेट्स लग रहे थे वहाँ इस प्रकार की बातें सामने आ रही थी। भले ही वो रेलवे से बाहर भी लोगों ने चाहे अपने घरों में भी लगाए थे, तो वहाँ से भी इस प्रकार की सूचना आती थी कि ऐसा होता है। सो जैसे अभी त्रिपाठी जी ने कहा कि वो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन में जा रहे थे। सो आई थिंक दिस इज़ अ प्रॉब्लम ऑफ द एवोल्यूशन ऑफ अ न्यू कॉन्सेप्ट रादर दैन द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ द रेलवे पर से।
11
सर, मैं प्रशांत हूँ एबीपी न्यूज़ से। मेरा सवाल साइंस टेक डिपार्टमेंट के मंत्री से है कि अभी एक समस्या जो दिल्ली में चल रही है पोल्यूशन की, और पराली उसके नहीं, मैं आ रहा हूँ उस पर कि पराली एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ है। क्या साइंस टेक मिनिस्ट्री या आपके डिपार्टमेंट का कोई रोल इसमें हो सकता है? वैसे कृषि मंत्रालय की तरफ से उसमें कुछ किया जा रहा है, उसमें कुछ नई चीज़ें आप खोज रहे हैं, ला रहे हैं, जिससे पराली की समस्या का।
ऐसा है कि इस विषय में ज़्यादा ना उलझ करके, क्योंकि ये बेचारा विषय रह जाएगा, लेकिन जो संबंधित मंत्रालय और विभाग हैं जो इस इशू के साथ डील कर रहे हैं, उनके साथ हमारा सहयोग हमेशा उपलब्ध रहता है। जिस तरह की भी वो सुविधा या फैसिलिटी या हमारी ओर से किसी प्रकार की अपेक्षा करते हैं, तो उस प्रकार का सहयोग दिया जाएगा साइंस टेक्नोलॉजी की ओर से भी।
You are creating now, in after 3 years that will be waste because those buildings will be demolished. So how does it help in a big way? Abhi to immediate solution to अच्छा है.
No, it's not.
And after that what happens?
No, it's not necessary that all the buildings will be demolished.
Yes sir, all the.
No, in that sense, the government of India is spread all over Delhi. Now you have government of India offices even going up to NCR. So maybe that area, what you say, it could hold true for that, but and more important than that, at least we learn the habit of not spoiling the new vista also.
So I think there's no more questions on this. So thank you all for attending this press conference. I thank the Honorable Minister and all the dignitaries on the dais for making this event happen. May I request our friends from media to come over to the 4th floor for lunch, and also